Morning from welcome to another edition of Live RIMPAGE, where we expand and we elaborate in order to empower you.
Mm.
Katerina, how are you today?
Hello, Patrick. I am really well. It's a
Excellent.
lovely gray afternoon here, but we had a
Mhm.
bright start to our week. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Tell me, where did we leave our conversation last week?
Oh, we were talking about the mental equivalent, and we were
Mhm.
talking about how what that means is
Yes.
for me, it means how you guide your attention, how you manage your attention,
Mm-hmm.
understanding the weight and the importance of that.
Mm-hmm.
That is the beginning of the creative process for us because what
Absolutely.
we found is your outer world tends to reflect your inner world. Those thoughts
Absolutely.
that you habitually hold in your mind begin
Mm-hmm.
to manifest around you. And so
Yes.
if you can guide your attention, then you have a lot of control over your external reality. It's
Mm-hmm.
very simple, we discovered, but it's also very powerful.
In fact, you're in full control of your reality. It's just whether you are creating consciously in your reality or
Right, right,
unconsciously, right? Whether
right,
you're aware or
right,
not. So
right.
another good word to go with attention is
Hmm.
focus, right? It
Focus,
is
yes.
where we direct our thoughts. That is where what that focus brings into our
Mhm.
reality, um, everything that we think about, right? And sometimes the things that we are thinking that we are not thinking about are the very things that we keep manifesting in our life because
Right.
we keep our focus, we give
Yes.
our attention to those things that have not yet manifested,
Mhm.
that we wish for but they're not here yet, but I'm looking at this thing and it's missing, it's not here, right? Those thoughts
Right.
are not serving us. We need to identify those thoughts and
Mhm.
replace them, right? Not
Right.
try to think more about those thoughts,
Right. Right.
effort
Right.
into removing them. No, but completely focusing on what is wanted in our life. And you gave us wonderful
Yeah.
example there.
Yes. I
Yes.
love what you said about focusing on what is wanted
Mm,
because it's undeniable and it's unavoidable. Things will happen that we don't want. But
yes.
the key is to not give all of your attention to those things to the extent that you dwell on them and
Yes.
you
Yes.
repeat them and you talk about how it feels. And then you want to share that with everyone around you. And you're just affirming it and making it stronger and stronger. But
Mm-hmm.
what if we could just ignore it, just remove attention from that thing and
Yes.
instead focus
Simple
on
and
what we
clean.
want?
Yes. 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 So we have to start getting really interested and
Mhm.
curious about our deepest desires, right? And our deepest desires are completely 100% aligned with our inner truth, right?
Yes, yes.
We do not need anyone's permission. We do not need anyone's
Right.
approval. We do not need anyone to see and feel our vision, but we need to be aligned with it.
Mhm.
And when you get curious about what is on the inside, what wants to be created through
Mm.
you, for example, Rimpage, right? And you,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes.
You focused on how can you get there, not what obstacles are in the way, because as we know,
Right,
obstacles are many. If we want to focus on
right, right,
obstacles, we will never reach the end of the
right,
course, right?
right.
So
Yes.
what did you focus on? How did you do it in on Rimpage's example?
Wow. For RimPage, it was the clear picture of what RimPage is supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
that drew me to it. And there's a great quote that says, "Obstacles are what you see when you take your eyes off your goal."
Mm.
But if you can
Yes.
imagine, if you're only
Ooh,
looking at
very
your goal, you just
yeah.
sidestep everything else. And
Mm.
that's a great lesson on attention as well.
Yes.
My focus, my attention is on this picture that I see and
Mm-hmm.
every step in between,
Mm-hmm.
making it a reality. And
Yes.
The obstacles are nothing. They
Yes,
they're nothing.
obstacles just point us in the right direction, I feel, because
Hmm.
often obstacle is the path, is something that is really
Yes.
bothering us and feeling
Yeah.
in the way. It's the very
Yes.
thing we need to tackle, right?
Yeah. You're
And
right. You're
tackle it
right.
in the right way
You're
by
right.
taking action, right?
Right.
Um,
I'll give you an
Go ahead.
example of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was finding it difficult to book gymnasiums for my players to play in,
Mm-hmm.
and it was getting increasingly difficult because they have these policies and things. And so lining up the money with the date, the due dates and things was
Right.
becoming difficult. And
Mm-hmm.
then I I um I came up with an idea, which is actually part of the original vision, was to
Yes.
have the players schedule their own matches. So
Mm-hmm.
now they choose where they play, they choose when they play. And I drew an illustration of it on the board where I drew myself and I drew my goal and I
Mm-hmm.
drew the path to it. And then there was
Oh,
this obstacle there. And I said, this is what I'm facing. And
mm-hmm.
then when I came up with my other solution, I just drew a path right around that obstacle.
Beautiful.
And I pointed out, I said, now, did the obstacle move? No. Did the obstacle change? No. What
No.
happened? I still reached my goal. I just went right around it. And those
Yes.
opportunities are always there to go
Amazing.
right around
Yes.
your obstacles.
Yes. Some obstacles we can't negotiate them. We have to go through them, right? Because
Hmm.
we can't ignore them because of the experience that we need to gain through
Yes,
that
yes,
very
yes,
obstacle, right?
yes.
Because we become richer, more able, and stronger
Right,
when we go through
right.
it. But you are absolutely right. There are some obstacles that we can absolutely not engage with because
Mm-hmm.
the answers, I believe, and I have proven this throughout my experience, that there are more than one or two or three or five possible
Right,
paths
right,
to get
right,
to the desired
right.
destination,
And
right?
you know what I hear you saying is
Mm-hmm.
perspective. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's how you look at that obstacle. You can
Yes.
see it as a sign that you've made the wrong decision and you need to stop.
Yes.
Or
Yes.
you can look at it like you just said, there's something here I need to gain. And
Yes.
once I gain it, it'll help me. It'll actually propel me forward. So
Mm-hmm.
it's that
It's a
perspective, how
perspective.
we're looking at it.
Yes. Yes.
There's there's a great story I'd like to share about that that we learned about recently, and
Mm-hmm.
it's about this man who upset the ruler of the land, and so the ruler had him arrested and thrown into this dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
And every day, and so like the dungeon had this large heavy door, and so they drag him to that door and they push the door open, and then they cast the man in the dungeon, and it's dark in there and it's just him on the dirt floor, and then they slam the door shut. And then every day they open the door just to put a picture of water there and a loaf of bread.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's sitting in this prison for 20 years. And one day he says, I want to die. I can't take this anymore. And so he needs a plan to die, to kill himself. And his plan is when the guard opens the door next time, I'm going to attack him and
Mm-hmm.
force him to kill me. And then I'll be rid of this misery.
Mm-hmm.
And so he crawls up the stairs to the door
Mm-hmm.
and he pushes on the door and the door opens.
Mm-hmm.
The door opens. It's not locked. It
Wasn't
never
long.
has been locked. For 20 years, the door was not locked and he didn't know it. And so he walks out the door and there are guards standing there and he walks right past them and they don't bother him. And he
Mm-hmm.
walks out of the prison and there are guards standing there and he walks right past them and he's a free man for the rest of his life. He lives
Yes,
happy and free. But the lesson is he was never in a prison except in his own mind
his
for
own thoughts.
20 years.
In
He was
his
in his
belief,
own
right?
prison.
His
Yes,
belief kept him prisoner. Wow,
yes.
that is a
Ooh,
powerful story.
there's a huge lesson in there for us because like we can laugh at it and in a way it is funny, but
Mm,
when we ask ourselves the question,
yes,
how am I doing that to myself? In what
yes,
areas of life have I decided that the door is locked and
yes.
I
Most
cannot have what I want? That's
my guess is
powerful
in
lesson there.
many areas of life. In fact, in every area where you feel you are not
Mhm.
excelling, or where
Hmm.
you feel that there is a limit to what you can do
Yes,
or achieve, it is in fact your belief about that thing that is keeping you
yes,
at that same very
absolutely.
same place, right? And
Because we know something about limits. They
that
don't
they
actually
don't
exist,
exist. They are not real.
except in our own minds.
Mm, yes, yes, absolutely. The limitation isn't upon you. You were not born
Mhm.
limited. You were born
Yes, yes.
absolutely unlimited. You can reach all of your dreams and goals. This is the point of these talks, is to show you
Right, right. Mhm.
exactly how to get
May
to your dream.
may
Mm-hmm.
I share another example of that? And this one occurred in my own life. So
Mm-hmm.
I started doing push-ups,
Mm-hmm.
and my goal was to just see how many I could do before I could not possibly do another push-up. And so
Mm-hmm.
when I first started, I think I started at like 10,
Mm-hmm.
and I could do 10 push-ups. And after 10, my arms were so tired and exhausted, I could not do a single push-up beyond 10.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept doing 10 every day. And when I would hit my limit of 10, I would stop. And then I would do 10 again and hit my limit and stop. And then one day, Katerina,
Mm-hmm.
I did 10 and I found I had more energy. I had
Mm-hmm.
more strength to do 11. And
Mm-hmm.
and oftentimes it was more than that. It was
Yes.
like maybe I could do 13.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started doing 13. And then when I got to 13, my arms were so exhausted, I could not do a single push up beyond 13.
Right.
And this kept happening until 13 turned into 15 and 15 turned into 17. And pretty soon I was doing 30 push ups without stopping. And then I asked myself, what happened to those limits? I
Mm.
was I was hitting a limit at 10 and
Yes.
now I'm doing 30. So what does that tell you about the limit? Is it
Mm.
wasn't actually there. But
It
if
wasn't
we
there in the
keep
first
pushing
place.
against our limits, we
Yes.
can push them back further and further.
Very true. If we persevere, if we don't give up, because we are meant to have this continuing improvement and
Yeah, yeah.
evolution and expansion, right? So
Right,
we're not
right,
meant to reach peak right now, right here.
right,
We are meant to
right.
become more. And how do we become more unless we really embrace that there is no
Right.
limit and push through where our
Push
mind is
through.
stopping us? It is our mind stopping
Mm.
us. It isn't
Right,
necessarily the
right.
body. It's because we believe here that we can't
Hmm.
do anymore.
Right, right.
Right?
So imagine how I felt when I got to 20 and
Uh-huh.
I knew that my previous limit was 15 and 13. But now that I'm at 20, I know better now. This
Yes.
is not a real limit. I'm going to keep hitting 20 until I push through 20. And
Mm.
that's what happens for us. Once we start pushing through some of these, we start to gain that momentum. And more importantly, we gain an understanding of how
Mhm.
limits actually work. That if
Mhm.
we keep meeting that limit and keep pushing it, eventually we push it back
Yes.
further and further
Yes.
and realize that that word you said, expansion. We
Ex-
were meant for expansion.
Definitely. We were meant to become more. And I want to ask you, how did that feel? How did it feel each time that you reached new
You know
stage,
what
that
it
you
does?
pushed
It
through the limit, the current
um
limit?
first of all, I feel good about myself because I challenged this thing and I
Mhm.
overcame it.
Mhm.
And this thing that used to be impossible, like I would reach 10 and I could not do another push up. My arms were so tired. But
Mhm.
now the strength is there to do
Mhm.
15, the strength is there to do 20. So that felt good. But the other thing is, it made me curious about where my actual stopping point is.
Mhm.
Maybe I could do 100. Maybe I could do 1,000.
Mhm.
Like, where's the limit? That's the
Yes.
question. Where is the actual limit
Yes.
if we just keep going?
There is no limit. It depends on what is the outcome that you want, right? If
Yes.
your
Yes.
outcome is you want 50 or 100 push-ups, you need to ask yourself, why do I want to achieve
Yes.
this, right? What is inside achieving that?
Hmm.
What is the feeling inside that? Because it isn't necessarily the thing that we want to do or become
Hmm.
or have that is our goal. It is how we will feel in achieving that goal.
Yes. Oh, please explain
And
this one.
if that
This is wonderful.
the ultimate manifestation that we are after is how we feel when we achieve, when we hit those goals, right? It's the feeling of having, of being something, right?
Yes.
That
Yes.
feeling is ultimately why you want that experience. Is it
Right.
not true?
Right. It's
Right?
true.
It
That
is.
feeling of accomplishment. Yes.
So it means that the feeling is the ultimate manifestation. So if you manage to have that feeling now, to bring that feeling in your present moment, to steady yourself in that feeling, to exercise being in that state of being, your goal has to come to you in your
Wow.
present moment, right? Your manifestation is right there around the corner. And you see
Yes.
the journey then there to each and every manifestation is so much more joyful. It feels
Yes.
easy, even if you're
Yes.
doing the work, you know that you will be getting there. And there is such sense of lightness, of being, of joy.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Hmm.
it's what life really is, right? Rather than creating
Yes.
this
Yes.
um, significantly painful
Mhm.
process, right? That is absolutely feels like hard work, like failure every step of the way,
Right. Mm.
right? Where we keep ourselves down and we
Mhm.
keep finding ourselves in those downward
Yes.
spirals of emotions and of feelings and of being
Yes.
beaten up, right? And then we have to pick ourselves from that state every single time, where we can actually work on steadying ourselves in feeling that
Could
joy.
I talk about that in a basketball context?
Yes,
So
please.
when I grew up, my favorite player was Michael Jordan, and of course he was known in his early in his career for dunking on people, and so that was the thing. Everybody wanted to, they dreamed of dunking on people like Michael Jordan, and
Mm,
so as I grew and I got taller and taller, I could get closer and closer to the rim, and
mhm,
so it became my goal to dunk.
mm,
Now my brothers could, my older brother and my younger brother too, they could dunk, but I couldn't. Even though I was tall enough to, I just couldn't get my hand over the rim like that. And so my goal was to work out and to exercise on my legs until I could actually dunk.
mhm,
And what you're explaining is that's not the actual goal. The
mm.
goal is how you will feel when you're able to do that thing.
Absolutely.
Because like I would train and train, and I noticed I would get higher and higher, and pretty soon
Mhm.
I got high enough to actually dunk the ball. But
Right.
that's not the end of it. The end is how you feel now,
Yeah.
now that you
You
dunked
feel
it.
like you're
And so
flying,
what,
right? I can
right. And
imagine.
so what you're saying is the goal is not actually the accomplishment of the thing. The goal is the feeling
Yes,
that you have once you've
enjoying the
accomplished.
life process. It's enjoying
Right.
the working to get there to that
Mhm.
goal and then beyond. Because once you
Mhm.
reach your goal, there will be more that you want to
Yes,
achieve.
yes,
Your
yes,
goal is not the end goal.
yes. Right, right. And then you were saying, what if you could embody that feeling now,
Mhm.
even before the accomplishment, experience the feeling before the accomplishment? And you're saying when you do that, the two have to connect.
Yes, 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 yes. That is what being a deliberate creator of your reality is all about, right?
Yes, yes.
And now you can go about life in any way you want. You want
Mhm.
hard life?
Right,
Go ahead, right? If
right.
it's serving you, if you like being up and down and
Mhm.
crashing and having being disconnected from your center for weeks on end, right? If you like
Right,
those patterns,
right,
keep doing what you're doing. But
right.
there is an
But
easier way. There is a much more enjoyable way.
yes. And what we are conveying to people
And
is a
advocate.
very powerful message. And that message is you have a lot more control than you might think you do over how your life goes. You can
Yes,
decide to have a happy day. You don't have to wait to see how it turns out. You can decide to have a happy day.
you can
So
choose.
that's what we
Right.
are conveying. And then we're giving the tools and the insights and the wisdom behind that to
Yes.
really drive the message home that you have more power over your life than you might think you do.
Indeed. And we're bringing it in a playful way because we really want
Right,
to
right.
remind you that this is light
Hmm.
work. This
Hmm.
is light work.
Yes.
Even when you
And
need to work, need to sweat for it.
right,
Feels
right,
light.
right.
That's the
And may I
difference.
also say
Mhm.
on faith and believing that
Yeah.
some people might say it's hard to have faith and it's hard to believe, but guess what?
Mhm.
You're already doing it. You're, you're just applying it in the opposite direction. You have
Yeah.
faith in limitations. You have faith in your inability to accomplish your goals. That
Mhm.
takes faith and believing. So you're already
Absolutely.
believing. What we're saying is just turn it in the opposite direction so that
Yes.
you now have faith in the things you actually want.
Yes. Turn it in the direction that is actually going to serve your mission, in the direction that is going to feel good to you.
Right. You
Promise
already
me your
believe.
life is going to feel a whole lot different.
It will. It will. There's a huge difference between
Mhm.
living a life of purpose or
Yes.
living a life on purpose
Mm.
and just
Mm.
being the passenger, just
Yeah.
sort of drifting through life. There's a
Mm-hmm.
different feeling there. You come alive. You come alive.
Absolutely. I am loving these conversations, and I am so eager to see the comments because we receiving
Mhm.
feedback, and it's so lovely that we can touch and inspire basketball players,
Yes.
first of
Yes.
all in RIMPAGE, but all of our friends as well, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, wherever you are watching
Mm.
us. Please know that you are the reason why we are here. We are
Yes.
here
Yes.
sharing this because we want you to live life empowered, life
Yes.
on purpose, and to deliberately create and live
Right.
your dreams,
Right.
all of your dreams, not just one or
Before
two, all of them.
before I would have said get in the driver's seat of your life and drive, but
Mhm.
we already know you're there already. So
Yeah.
now I'm saying wake up and
Yes.
drive. You're already driving.
Yes, yes.
You're driving your life asleep. Wake
That's it.
up and
There is
decide
that
where you want to go.
autopilot mode, right? We
Right,
need
right,
to wake ourselves up from that.
mhm,
Life is not about autopilot. It's about participating and
right.
having
Yes,
fun in the game.
yes.
Sometimes you
Faith,
win that
fun.
game, sometimes you don't, but you always, always
Yes,
have fun and you grow. You grow.
yes. Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful.
That is so good. I think we shall put a bookmark here. What do you think?
Okay,
Till next
okay.
Monday. And
Yes,
I wonder what will be the subject we tackle next Monday.
yes,
But I have a
yes.
feeling it will be empowering.
And if you are listening, please tell us where you want to steer your life. What is your destination? What makes you feel alive inside? What do you
Absolutely.
want to bring into being and share
Mhm.
with the world?
Yes, if you're
We want to hear
struggling
that.
with any of these points or if you're curious about it, drop us a line and we'll be more
Yes,
than
yes.
happy to help you work through it.
Right,
Thank
right.
you for showing up and thank you, Patrick, as ever. Thanks.
Katerina, I love doing this with you. Thank you.
Me too. Me too. Enjoy your week, all of you, and see you next Monday.
See you